Anytime we have a decimal that repeats, as in this case, that decimal number can be written as a fraction. And by definition, we have a set of numbers called the rational numbers. Those are numbers that can be written as fractions, and their decimals either end or they repeat. So any repeating decimal can be written as a fraction. There are a couple different ways to do that, to figure out how to write the fraction form of a repeating decimal. One way is to view this repeating decimal as a sum of decimals that end. So 0.8 repeating I can write as 0.8 plus 0.08. Just adding those two together would give me 0.88 plus 0.008. Again, now adding that third one in, I would have 0.888 plus, and so that pattern would have to continue forever because those 8s repeat forever. Now if I write those values as fractions, this would be 8 tenths, as that 8 is in the tenths place. Now I know that can be reduced, but I actually want to leave it in this form for these purposes. And so my next one there, that 8 is in the hundredths place, so that's 8 over 100. And then that 8 is in the thousandths place, so that's 8 over 1,000. And that pattern would continue. Now if I look at the terms here in this sum, to get from one term to the next, I would be multiplying by 1 over 10. I would multiply by 1 on the top because the numerators are all 8. Now I'd multiply by 10 on the bottom, so I'm just adding 1 0 each time to go from one term to the next. So 10 times 10 is 100. And then similarly here, I can multiply by 1/10 to get from the second term to the third term. So the numbers that we're adding together here form a geometric sequence whose common ratio is 1/10. So that's what we're multiplying to get from one term to the next. Since this sequence is geometric, we have a formula that we can use that gives us the infinite sum of a geometric series. And that formula can only be used if our absolute value of the common ratio is less than 1. Well, our common ratio is 1/10. The absolute value of 1/10 is 1/10, and that is certainly less than 1. So the formula says that our sum, our infinite sum, is a1, the first term, over 1 minus r, that common ratio. And so for this problem, our first term of our sum is 8 tenths. And our common ratio r is 1/10, so we have 1 minus 1/10 there on the bottom. 1 minus 1/10 is 9 tenths, because 1, it would be 10 tenths, and so 10 minus 1 would give us 9 tenths. And so here we have 8 tenths divided by 9 tenths. Now to divide with fractions, we would flip the second one and change it to multiplication. So dividing by 9 tenths is the same as multiplying by 10 ninths. And then the 10s cancel out, and we get 8 over 9. So our fraction form of the decimal number 0.8 repeating is 8 ninths. And you could check that by typing that in your calculator. Do 8 divided by 9, and your calculator screen would show 0.88888, and 8's all the way till the end.